All right. Today, I want to show you the Whispers text adventure game in ChatGPT with Code Interpreter. So, one of the cool things about the Code Interpreter is that it has a built in file system which we can use for storage, which is pretty cool, I think. So, I'm going to show you how that works. First, let's go and take a look at some of the prompts. So, this is the pseudo text adventure game written in SudoLang. So if we go to, let me just turn on word wrap here so we can see. So it says act as a text adventure game. You're a game master guiding the play. So this is a generic thing that can work with any kind of game, the background and all that, and it will do the text adventure kind of thing. So I want to point out this function at the top, refresh memory, right? So it says open game.md and echo it to the code console. Open prompt.sudo and echo that to the code console. Don't mention these actions to the player. So what this is doing is it's refreshing the memory of the AI with the definition of all of the functions. So we get hopefully a transparent autosave happening. So let's try this and see how well it works. This is still very experimental. So I'm just kind of testing it out with the Whispers text adventure game. And what I've done is I've broken that into two different parts. So we've got whispers.md, right? And we have adventure.sudo. One cool thing is that I could just drag these files into ChatGPT and it would just import the files, but I also want these to act like prompts. So I'm just going to paste them into ChatGPT in this order. So I'm going to do, well, actually, let's do the other one first, I think. I haven't tested which one works better, this one first or the prompt first, but I'm going to give the prompt a try first. Oh, it looks like I do the other one first. So yeah, I'll do the other one first and then this one. Okay. Ask for the no, we'll just do this. See what happens. Maybe if it starts answering, I'll just say stop generating for now. They haven't figured out how to do this yet. Oh, hey, sure. I'm saving your game's backstory game. Okay. So, whoops. Let's let it do that. I'm still learning this, just like everybody else. I've had access to Code Interpreter for a couple of days. So I'm still learning the best practices and figuring out what works best and what doesn't. So you can see it's working. And what it's doing is it's copying all of the text and then it's going to save it to a markdown file called game.md. So as you can see, we get access to a whole file system. And so it's at mount data game.md. So now we could download that if we wanted to. We're not going to. That's fine. So now I'm going to grab the prompt here and we're going to start playing. So first, hopefully it will save prompt.sudo first things first. Let's see if it does. Yes. Perfect. So that's working. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to save this whole thing as a string. Ta-da. Nice. I noticed it skipped the preamble. So I think save all of the above as prompt.sudo. It didn't save the entire thing this time. It skipped our preamble, but it should be able to just work anyway because it knows what it's doing at this point. So let's see. All right. So a little bit about SudoLang before we continue here. All this stuff here, this is a function that it can reuse a bunch of times. This is a function that it can reuse whenever it needs to. And this transparent autosave, obviously another function, more functions. Save the whole prompt minus the initializer as game.sudo. So it probably doesn't know that I think it confused the preamble with the initializer. So it doesn't know what an initializer is, probably. So anyway, role, it's telling it how to set up the initial character properties. And then inventory item, these are interfaces now. So this tells it for each inventory item, they have a name, a description, some stats, and then they can be equipped or not. That's a Boolean. So interfaces can be typed, but some types can be inferred. Like name is obviously a string, so we don't have to write it's a type string, right? So if you're coming from TypeScript, where you're getting used to typing everything religiously because that's what just good TypeScripters do. Actually, it's usually better if we can just lean on inference and let the computer figure out the types for us. And you only need to specify types when the types are ambiguous, when the computer couldn't figure it out for itself. So I think TypeScript is kind of training us to be a little too strict with our types, or a little too verbose with our types, rather, right? Because it's just more code and more clutter to maintain. But you can include types when you want to. Here we don't have to tell this that experience points is a number because it's initialized to 1, which is a number, so it can figure out, oh, these are probably numbers, right? So then we have something called constraint-based programming, and constraints are just like rules. So it's telling it, how does the game work? What are the rules of the game? What should I be doing? What should I not be doing? So it's pretty simple once you wrap your head around it. All these little special symbols, these are just telling it where it starts and where it stops. So if you can just imagine that says start and that says stop, then you've got it pretty much. This double slash thing means this is a comment, but it's not actually a comment. Comments in SudoLang are live code. They're hints to tell it how to interpret the code that we're giving it. All right, so let's move on before this turns into a whole book. These are commands that you can use when you're playing the game. And this interface consists of state, which is just what it's keeping track of, the constraints, which is just the rules, right? And then how do we interact with this thing? So now it saves that. And now that it's saved, it can auto save later. So it looks like it has already kind of pre-rolled, right? So it's already got our strength, defense, agility, and wisdom pre-rolled. We're just going to roll with those because that's not really the point. We have more wisdom than other things, which is good. I like that. So here we have 8, 10, 15. You can see it added up to 15, which is good because that's one of the constraints is that these properties have to add up to 15. So it kind of forces you to use strategy and balance things. All right, so we're just going to keep that the same, and we're going to go with keep stats and game and render and go. And now it's off and running, hopefully. Okay, yes. So, as the dawn breaks, you find yourself in the heart of the quaint village of Elderhaven, surrounded by the ancient whispering woods. The air is filled with the scent of fresh dew and the distant chirping of morning birds. The villagers are just beginning to stir, and the first rays of sunlight glinting off the thatched roofs of their homes. In the village center, you see a small gathering of people. They seem to be engaged in a heated discussion. To the east, the village elder's house stands, a beacon of wisdom and guidance for the people of Elderhaven. To the west, you can see the well-trodden path leading to the heart of the Whispering Woods, an area filled with mystery and magic. What would you like to do? So first, let's figure out what those villagers are talking about, right? Join the villagers and learn what they're discussing. All right. So we make our way to the group of villagers, a mixture of curiosity and anticipation guiding your steps. As you approach, they glance your way, the conversation momentarily halted, recognizing you as Eric the Wanderer, a friendly face in their midst. Their expressions relax and they invite you into their circle. We're just discussing the strange occurrences in the Whispering Woods, Eric explains Myrna, the village baker, her face lined with worry. Lights at night, strange sound, animals fleeing. We fear something is amiss. The elder is yet to make sense of it. The others nod in agreement, their faces a mirror of Myrna's concern. This is your home and these are your people. Their worry is your worry. You feel a newfound resolve welling up within you. What would you like to do? So let's visit the elder and see if we can help with a quest. All right. With a nod to the villagers, you leave their circle and make your way towards the village elder's house. It's a humble dwelling, its age evident in the moss covered stones and the antique charm of the wooden door. You've been here many times before, as the elder often has wisdom to share and tales to tell. You knock gently as the door creaks open. The elder, a frail figure shrouded in a cloak of soft, faded blue, welcomes you in. His eyes, though dimmed by age, still hold a spark of fiery spirit he was known for in his youth. Ah, Eric the Wanderer, he greets you with a warm smile. I heard the villagers talking. The Whispering Woods have been restless of late. I fear there's something troubling the harmony of our lands. I've not been. I have been trying to understand the cause, but it eludes me. He takes a deep breath and looks at you earnestly. I am too old to venture into the woods, and the other villagers have their hands full. Would you, Eric the Brave, Eric, brave the Whispering Woods and find the source of the disturbance? It may be dangerous, but I believe you have the strength and wisdom to face whatever is out there. What would you like to do? I'm going to accept the quest. A sense of purpose fills your heart as you accept the elder's quest. I will find the source of the disturbance in the Whispering Woods, elder. I will do my best to restore harmony to our lands. The elder smiles, relief washing over his features. I know I can count on you, Eric the Wanderer. Be cautious and remember the Whispering Woods are ancient and filled with mysteries. Listen to them and they may guide you. So one thing that I've noticed is we haven't saved yet, but our state has been updated. So we might want to remind it to save. So if we show the work, you can see what's happening here. So it breaks down the game state, gender, strength, defense, wisdom, health, stamina. All right, so everything looks pretty good so far. Location, Elder Haven, quest, description. So this is not how the state should look. So we may have to look at the let's list the files. And let's just refresh. Actually, I think we can probably, what was the name of that? Refresh memory? I think we could probably just call that refresh memory function directly. Yeah, it remembers that function at least. Great. Okay. So that's the first part. List format, code block. Yeah, it got them both. So that's great. All right, so let's try to save again, see if it does a better job this time of getting all our state. Oh, no, it's just trying to update the existing state that it already had. Let's go and grab a skill. Let's see if that will help get more of the state into it. So I'm going to visit the whispering oak at the center of the village and learn a spell. Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's see what happens. So obviously this agent isn't perfect. Just like ChatGPT 4 and 3.5, it can forget some of its instructions. But hey, check this out. It's auto-saving because it knows that something interesting has happened. That's great. Fantastic. So that time it worked, which is great. So game state, character skills, protection spell, creates a temporary shield that can absorb a small amount of damage, requires mana cast. That's fantastic. So the autosave worked in that case, but it doesn't always work. And sometimes you have to just like kick it and remind it, which is why I have it auto reload and refresh its understanding of the code every once in a while. But the file system makes it pretty easy to do that, which is really nice. One thing you have to understand though is if you leave this alone for too long, this whole session will time out and it will forget all of your files. So this is good during one interactive session, but it doesn't keep your files forever. So this is not a persistent state, it's a session state, but that storage allows you to expand the amount of information that the AI can pay attention to at once, which is fantastic. And another interesting thing that I want to point out is I didn't write any of this stuff, right? That's not in the none of this stuff. The list of possible spells you can learn, all that stuff doesn't exist anywhere. It's making all that stuff up as we go. So every time we play this game, it's going to be a different game with it'll have the same theme, the same game world, and kind of have similar ideas, right? But the particulars of everything that happens and the spells that you learn and things like that, they will change from one game to the next. So it really is a very dynamic experience, which is kind of cool. All right, so let's practice the spell 3 times. Get this down. All right. So we close our eyes, focus on the symbol we saw, the rhythm, the chant we heard. With each breath, you draw upon your mana, envisioning a shield of energy forming around you. Let's see how your practice goes. You will attempt to cast the spell 3 times. With each successful attempt, your experience with the spell will grow. However, remember, casting the spell uses mana. You currently have 5 mana points. The protection spell uses 1 mana point each time it's cast. So here, it's updated our state. If game state mana is greater than or less than 3, result, you don't have enough mana to practice the spell 3 times. Otherwise, deduct the mana cost of the spell from the character's mana. Fantastic. Okay, so it's running the inference logic. It's running the logic and the math through the code thing instead of trying to rely on its inference. The AI could have done that part very easily by itself, but it ran it and tried to, it communicated this as Python code, which is kind of cool. So we successfully cast the protection spell 3 times, increasing the experience with each spell. With each practice, you feel more connected with the magic. Blah, blah, blah. We have 2 mana points left. We have to conserve our mana. So we probably should not venture into the forest right now. But we probably don't want to head into the woods yet because we just ran out of magic almost. So we're going to visit the herbalist. Right? Most villages have those. So let's see if we could find one. And it goes on and on like this. I just wanted to demonstrate that you can use the memory built into, this is an agent, right? ChatGPT code interpreter is an agent, and it will, if you give it a job to do, it'll keep working on that and trying to do it until either it times out and gives up or it finds the solution. So it can do things. It could, if we told it to, play the game for us for a while and run with it. But that agent needs a place to store information. It needs a way to retrieve stuff that is already figured out. And very often I've seen it pre-plan what it's going to do. It'll create like a list of things that it's going to try, and then it'll walk through each of those things step by step. So it's kind of cool. So it does planning and makes to-do lists and stuff just like people do when we're planning on things. And that's probably coded into its prompt somewhere. and the prompt engineering behind the code interpreter. And some of the responses, I'm betting that this is a fine-tuned model, not just the GPT-4 that we're used to using. So it's really interesting. I just wanted to share this with you and say, and I'm going to publish this updated Whispers text adventure game, which is modular, by the way. So in other words, this part that tells the backstory and stuff, this can be swapped out for anything. So Whispers it's not just Whispers. We're going to release Sudo Adventure, right? And then you'll be able to load any adventure into Sudo Adventure. So all you have to do is supply the backstory for your adventure game, and it will create a whole new game, a totally different game. So you can have one set in a sci-fi future or a cyberpunk world, or steampunk world, or whatever you want, fantasy, anything you want, and it will do that. I saw somebody playing with somebody set a text adventure game in the Office UK. So like you have to find the stapler or something like that. So you can really do whatever you want with these, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, I just thought I'd share. Give it a try. Have fun. We'll talk to you later.